It's Tuesday, April 16th, 2013. I'm Rym.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we're talking about games that only Scott could love.
No, I do. Not could.
Let's do this. Sort of a callback to back when we did a similar show about Aerobiz.
Well,
Gemfire.
I was searching for, like, have we done a show on this? And I saw an episode from 2008 called, Games Only Rym Likes. So I was like, hey, can we do Games Only Scott Likes? Well, I was
like, what, like King's Bounty?
I could hardly think of any games that only Scott likes, but then I thought of a whole bunch.
One of them's got to be King's Bounty, because you tried to get me to play that, like, 4 times.
I don't know why I don't like King's Bounty.
I didn't get it, and it wasn't fun, and my character on the horse was way too big.
Anyway.
That bothered me. It's good to be back on our normal schedule. I've been biking to work now that it's nice out and I don't have the flu.
Still too cold.
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you.
If you check the weather, it's alternating between sunny and beautiful but cold and warm and awesome but rainy. There has not been a sunny and warm.
Scott, it is 60 degrees out right now.
No, it's not.
Yes.
And what temperature was it when I woke up this morning?
I don't know when you wake up.
Yeah, like 40 something.
No, because I biked to work this morning. It was not 40.
It was 40, like 8, 9.
I biked to work at exactly 8:30 because I was running about a half hour late.
It was cold.
And right now, which is a while after I got home, it's 59 degrees, which
cold.
is pleasant.
Cold.
For biking, in fact, that's a little warm.
No, call me when it's like 68, 69 at least.
I don't know. We'll have to do our race.
When you're biking, there is a fan blowing on your entire body.
Yeah, and you know what? When I'm biking, it is so hot that even on a day like today, I'm in like shorts and a t-shirt, like trying to pull my shirt off because I'm so hot.
That does not happen to me.
I don't think you bike as hard as I do. We should do our race to Rockaway once it's warm.
Yeah, I was looking up. Apparently, the beach is going to open regularly, but some sections of the boardwalk will be closed because broken.
I kind of have this perverse, selfish hope that as a result, a lot of people don't go to the beach. So when I do bike to the beach, I have a private beach.
Yeah, but it's hard to bike to the beach when part of the boardwalk is closed. We'll have to bike on the non-boardwalk.
I kind of know my way around the island at this point because I bike over there a lot.
I know, yeah, but it's like you can't bike on the sand, right? So
yeah,
if you want to bike straight from one end to the other.
There's a road that goes mostly parallel to the boardwalk.
Yeah, you have to use that road is what I'm saying, as opposed to using the boardwalk, which is much nicer and closer to the water.
Under the boardwalk.
And with a better view. And such,
Under the boardwalk.
Okay.
All right. So in the news, it's been a while since we've really talked about current events and everything. And
there's not a lot of them.
There's stuff coming. I mean, Monaco's getting its real release and all that. But an issue that has come up from multiple different places. So I kind of want to talk about the issue as opposed to all the specific people except Adam Orth, because I have to talk about him.
Yeah, see, I don't want to talk about.
But the general sentiment is that multiple people, like the head of Ubisoft also said something very similar. People are ready for and or okay with always on DRM being part of their console gaming experience, not just their PC gaming experience.
Well, you know what? You know why they think this way?
Well, one,
because despite the fact that online gamers on Reddit and other places yell and scream saying, "Oh, online DRM, blah blah blah,"
they buy the game anyway.
SimCity, as much as Catastrophe is yelling, and
I didn't buy it. I'm boycotting it.
I haven't bought an EA game in forever.
I'm actually, as much of a gamer as I am, I'm ideologically opposed to buying EA games, specifically SimCity.
I wouldn't buy them just because I don't want to play any of their games, regardless of the online.
I would want to play SimCity, but I refuse. On principle,
my interest
disagree.
in playing it is mild, but very mild. So whatever.
My interest came back because I have a copy of SimCity 4.
You can buy SimCity 2000 on GOG.com.
SimCity 2000, I'm done with.
You suck.
I've played that game out.
Okay.
I've taken a city legit from nothing to all perfect arcologies in a flat grid.
Yeah.
So I have no interest in playing that game.
Anyway, the point is that.
Oh, and 2 fusion plants. Maybe 3 in case there's a disaster.
You put them in separate places just in case. The point is that despite this, SimCity still sold like a jillion copies and they still made $1 jillion off of
but
it.
Why is that? And I would argue that is because PCs are pretty useless without being connected to the internet.
Remember, for how many years we had PCs that didn't have any internet, and we used them all day. We found
yeah,
because
you know what I did on those? I wrote documents for school in Microsoft Works.
Yep.
And I played Jezball.
And wasn't it the greatest?
It was okay. But actually, no, even in those days, I had null modems and I was playing games and fucking around with terminals.
Right. So if you have a computer in your house that always has internet, right, so much, right, then why wouldn't you have a console in your house that always has internet? What's the difference?
Well, I think the difference is that, one, consoles still, to me, are the kind of thing that they're supposed to be literally the physical box is here. I turn it on, games happen. So if it has to be always on for stuff to work, even single-player games, suddenly taking your console to your beach house doesn't work out so well.
Yeah.
Leaving the console at grandma's house doesn't work out so well.
Yeah, really what this is about is, people seem to be making this thing like, oh my God, no one will be able to play games. It's always online. And yeah, internet's unreliable in a lot of places, but actually in most places it works. The real worries here are, number one, I looked up some statistics, and basically 70 to 80% of Xboxes are online. So they're throwing away 25% of customers. So really, 1 out of every 4 people who has an Xbox now will not be able to use the new Xbox because they don't have it on the internet. Because maybe they don't have good internet, or they don't know how to
They don't know how to plug in more than one device.
They
It's a
don't
very
care.
common problem.
Yeah. I saw screenshots from a guy who still had the original Xbox 360. It didn't red ring, and it had the original software.
Nice.
With the blades. They go, right?
Wow.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
But it's like they're trying to take some of the worst or at least useless aspects of PC gaming and poured it into a console, but for no good reason. The reason they
want to sell more ads.
Yeah.
Right? They want to
But no,
force
forget the
things
real
on you.
reasons, because we know the real reasons. The reasons they give are such hollow
bullshit reasons.
They
They
always
don't
give
have a real
reasons like,
reason.
we want a solid, interconnected experience. We want the social aspects to
Right,
matter.
because they don't have, the only reasons they have are the bullshit reasons that are evil. They don't have one single good reason that is good for the customer.
Yeah,
Not
like
one.
I have the game Mark of the Ninja. I've been playing it on my Steam console because why would I buy it on the Xbox? But
Right.
say it was on my Xbox. There was literally no reason it would ever need to connect to the internet because it's a single-player game I'm playing through by myself.
There
in
might be
single player.
benefits to connecting it to the internet, like sharing scores with your
There
friends.
might be. But one, those shouldn't prevent me from just playing the fucking game.
Exactly.
I don't even have another one. That's it. That's the highest order concern. That they're doing it for these selfish, semi-secret, but obvious reasons like trying to do DRM, trying to force social aspects that are used to guilt people into DLC, or even having DLC available.
And tracking people's playing so that they can get data about you and what you play and how many hours you play.
Think about how subtle this is. The social crap of Scott got this achievement will remind people to play games. They're trying to have this ability to have their hand in your console, right in the cookie jar, pushing your buttons and getting you to go in the direction they want you to go. And I think
it works,
buying
and
DLC,
it works statistically. It works on most people, so they think they're going to make more money. They think they're going to make more money if they throw away 1 in 4 customers
probably
completely.
will. You know why?
And milk the customers, the other 75%, for more dollars each.
In the midterm, they probably will, because the people they're throwing away are the people who've never heard of DLC.
They'll also probably get those, even with the customer service expense, right? Get some of that 25% to plug their computer into the internet.
Yep. And they're also going to be able to really push this stuff. I mean, look at this recent push toward making it impossible. One thing online DRM is used for is to prevent people from modding their own game or cheating in the single player game that they have, because they want to push these microtransactions or upgrades or DLC or comparative scores online. And as a result, they need to prevent you from cheating. But if I want to cheat on a game that I own, that I'm playing by myself, I should be able to cheat.
Yeah, if a game is offline completely, I can get a tool easily to modify the data in
Dude, Civ 2,
on the
you
hard
went to
drive.
options and turned cheating to on if you wanted to cheat.
Yep.
It's like, you know what? I'm done with this. Let's spawn 1,000 nukes and make China not exist
Yeah, there's
anymore.
no way to make me, pay money for donuts in, Simpsons
But
tapping
that's what they
game.
want to do. They want...
If I can just go onto the hard drive, find the file that says how many donuts you have, and change the number.
Their end game is to make you pay money to have that cheat menu.
Yep.
Their end game is to turn Borderlands into, well, it basically already is, an MMO. They don't let you just pick your level because they need you to go through the grind bullshit for all the social aspects they have, and the DLC. They've got all these. It's all centered around monetizing more while making less.
All right. Anyway,
so Adam Orth,
this Microsoft guy, basically, from what I can tell, right, is that I don't know if he truly believes what he was saying or not. It seemed like he was sort of having a trollish, sort of jerky argument battle with his friend, right? Like, if you look at the actual tweets, it's sort of like two guys ragging at each other, like, deal with it, man. That sort of thing. Like, how serious was he? Not, maybe he did believe it. But, the way he was expressing himself was way jerky because I think he saw it as a one-on-one sort of friend troll battle, right? But in reality, he ended up being a jerk to everyone who doesn't have internets. And so then he lost his job, either by quitting or resigning or who knows, but he doesn't work there anymore.
Yep. But his sentiment was basically everything I rail against.
Yes.
So not super sympathetic toward him because this whole DLC thing and microtransactions are really starting to encroach into areas they shouldn't be in gaming.
Well, that's how it is.
Now, what's funny is PCs, which my PC is always online no matter what. In fact, even if I lose power, I'll probably still have internet on my PC. Between UPSs and Fios and all that stuff.
Yep.
But even then, I can mod my games and fuck around with my games, and PCs are the place where you have the freedom to fuck around. The console is the place where you just plug it in and it just works. People who complain about PC gaming complain that it doesn't just work. If your console doesn't just work, suddenly those people are going to be really mad.
Yeah, people talk about, like, this sort of thing where PC gamers think they're so much better than console gamers.
We are, but that's a separate discussion.
Right? And no, I'm going to say, look, and they sort of try to portray the PC gamer as like an elitist jerk, right? And console gamers, right? They try to say, we're not, dumb or stupid or bad because we play, on a console instead of a PC.
It's like the guy who's living in Disneyland
even
talking
though
about
most
how great
people,
his local society
right, even
is.
though most people who are actually define themselves as gamers and care about video games deeply are playing games on both all the time,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is that, yes, if you are one of those people who is saying, PC games suck because look at all these errors, you are not as good as the PC gamers who are smart enough to get games to work on a PC. If you're not smart enough to get games to work on a PC, you are definitively less smart, at least when it comes to computers, as those PC gamers. Therefore, you are not as good as them. They are better than you, empirically.
To make a less...
Right? If you're complaining that it's like, it's too hard, yeah, it's because you're not as smart as they are.
To make a less acidic point...
No, I gotta be as acidic as possible.
I'm saying, I just want to make a less acidic point. I'm going to be a little bit basic here.
Max acid, 100 molar.
My argument is simpler. As soon as they keep doing this stuff to consoles are going to have all the same problems that PC gaming has. Then what? As soon as you're trying to play your game on your Xbox and it's like, blah, 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 DRM, something, something, and the game stops. I mean...
Yeah, the real problem here is not so much that your internet will be out, right? Because you're not even going to have the console if you don't have internet, and that's super reliable. It's that the Xbox system will go down, right? Microsoft will have an outage, and right now, if Microsoft has an outage, it means Live doesn't work, so you can't chat or play online.
Yeah, meanwhile,
but you can still play.
My Atari and regular Nintendo still work, and I can put those cartridges in and play them.
But with the new system, if it's always online, if Microsoft has an outage, no one can play, even no matter how smart they are.
But Rym and Scott, Steam, and you know what? Valve is one of the few companies in the entire world I actually trust to some degree.
It also has offline mode in Steam,
which works really well.
Yeah.
I mean, SimCity...
It actually works.
You know what? If I was going to play the new SimCity, 99% of the time I would play it sitting in airports or sitting on planes.
Where
on
there's
my
internet sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay for airport unreliable internet. And
a lot of airports have free Wi-Fi.
Not outside of the U.S. So increasingly when I travel, you get to an airport and there'll be a bunch of free access points, and you can get free internet. But you have to send a text from a local number and then register and then they text you back credentials, and then you can log on, because a lot of these countries have laws against anonymous access to the internet.
Can't trust those non-free speech countries.
Yeah, and Google Voice does not often handle those that well, and a lot of countries seem to block Google Voice texts for that purpose.
Can't VPN once you get connected?
Can't get connected. That's the problem.
Well, can't you do their bullshit registration to get connected with like a payphone and then
Not a
VPN?
I'm going to send a text from payphone.
Yeah, some of them. Other countries have a lot fancier payphones than we do.
Yeah, they're still disappearing. Outside of Japan, I have not seen a payphone that was... In fact, the payphones I've seen in my travels were less sophisticated than the ones that I still see in the U.S.
Oh, really? Because when I was in Israel in the year 2000, the payphones were very sophisticated. You would put calling cards and credit cards directly into them. They had digital screens that showed you like who you were calling, and the rate would tick up and the time would go down and all that kind of stuff. And that was then.
That has not been my experience in India, Turkey, Germany, etc. Sao Paulo.
Israel, best phones? Question mark.
Well, I have a better question for you. The fuck's a payphone?
Yeah, right. In an airport,
but anyway,
have one.
The other case, the actual flight. I'm flying to Australia in a couple months. I would play SimCity because that's the perfect game to dick around on a plane. I'm probably not going to have internet on that 25-hour flight.
Yeah, I mean, even if the plane had internet, you think it's going to have internet in the middle of the Pacific Ocean?
If it did, that'd be pretty awesome. You know what?
How would that work?
So I can't play SimCity, so I'm not going to buy it. But maybe if I can come up with a way to pirate it, then I could play it on my laptop.
Maybe.
Huh.
All right, it's enough of that. So I just got a tiny news.
Tiny news?
Yeah, there's been trend lately of remaking the classics, and I think a certain segment of the game industry has realized, hey, it's really low effort to take these old hit games, keep pretty much everything intact,
Mega Man 10, Mega Man 9.
Update graphics, and we'll sell. I think Bionic Commando Rearmed was the trigger for this.
I think it was too. I mean,
now
look,
you got the DuckTales.
I still kind of can't believe the DuckTales thing happened because that came out of nowhere.
So Capcom and Sega are really the big ones doing this the most, right? I mean, right? So Bionic Commando was Capcom, Mega Man 910 is Capcom, DuckTales is Capcom, Sega did Sonic 4.
Yep.
Right?
I'm still amazed, though, that as good as Bionic Commando Rearmed was, how bad the new Bionic Commando was.
Well, forget that. So Sega's doing another one. They're re-releasing Sega Genesis Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion.
Oh, shit. That was a good game.
It was, right? So they're just pretty much taking all these games that are really easy to remake, updating them graphics, and re-releasing them. So there you go.
So speaking of updates to old games, not really, but it's in a similar spirit, just very briefly. So Luke Crane and Tor had been working for a while on a game. They had a working title for it, Dungeoneers and Dragon Slayers, D's and D's.
But that has a little legal implications,
yeah,
possibly.
Well, that wasn't the actual... I mean, my company had a working title of a project called F1, or Formula 1.
That's not going to work.
That's just what we called it while we were working on it. I'm not... Yeah, there's trouble with that, obviously. So, D's and D's was a sort of callback to old school dungeon crawls, like D&D style.
It was also sort of a modification of Mouse Guard.
Yeah.
It was like Mouse Guard with a lot of all the mousy stuff ripped off and just dungeons.
But they would run playtests of this at like Burning Cons and Nerd NYC things, and I played it a bunch of times over the last couple of years.
I played it once.
While it was going through its paces, and it was stupidly fun.
It's pretty good.
So it has now been officially announced. Interestingly, the official first source was Forbes.
Okay.
So props to them for getting that set up.
Oh.
But
I don't know why Forbes cares about tabletop role-playing games.
Well, it's Eric Kane, a contributor to Forbes, who, quote, I write about video games, the industry, and the culture.
Okay.
This is a non-video game. Anyway.
I guess he decides what to contribute, and they put
it. So the actual title of the game is Torchbearer, and it is basically the feels you get from playing old original Dungeons and Dragons.
Without the mapping, but with all the other parts streamlined and modernized.
It forces you to make the decisions instead of, did I draw the map correctly? Where are we on the map? Did you fuck up the map? What happened to the map? To, are you going to carry that baby out or the treasure chest?
Yeah,
your swords.
I have a bag now. Now I have 4 extra slots in the bag. I'm going to put these things in the bag. And then
Scott,
you have a free hand here. Carry this. Oh, there's a monster. I put this shit on the ground and fight, and then I pick the shit back up.
Oh, that's your last 10-foot pole that you just broke there.
Oh, well.
What you going to do now?
Yeah. You mean my one 10-foot pole I was able to carry because it's two-handed?
So basically, look forward to this. We'll probably get Luke Crane on to talk about it in a little more detail because we tend to do that.
Another interesting thing is that this time, I think Tor is credited as
is the writer.
The writer, and Luke Crane was the editor. A role reversal. Role reversal.
Yeah. Maybe we should try to get Tor on the show.
Yeah,
We've never had him
I saw
on.
him at the MoCCA. I was just looking at in the museum thing in the back, and there he was. And I was
we
like,
always
hey.
get Luke and or Jared. We never get Tor.
All right.
I'll bug Tor. I'll see if he'll come on Geeknights to talk about this stuff.
Okay. He's a fun guy.
So things of the day. I'm surprised we didn't talk about this sooner. The Chrono Jigga.
I thought we did talk about this.
I guess we didn't. I can't find any reference to it as a thing of the day unless I didn't put the word chrono in it.
Okay.
But the Chrono Jigga, some mashups between Chrono Trigger music and Jay-Z.
Made by this guy, I think Too Mellow was the guy's name.
Jay-Z,
Too Mellow is the guy who did
Chrono Jigger,
he's the one who did the
Mellow.
mixing.
It is Too Mellow. I was reading this whole thing because it's on a YouTube channel, Bruce Bonsai.
This is pretty epic right here. You gotta just search.
I've been listening to this shit pretty much constantly for a couple weeks
There's a
now.
website. You just download the whole thing for free.
Yep. Or you kids today seem to just listen to things on YouTube, so you'll probably just listen to it on YouTube. I know how you work.
Oh, I downloaded, put it on my iPhone.
Hey, you do.
Oh, so my thing of the day.
Your thing of the day?
So there's a show. There's a guy named Dan Levitard who's a Miami sports journalist, right? And he appears on PTI sometimes, which is a show that Geeknights was loosely based upon. He's like a stand-in guy, and he started this new show. I think it's like on ESPN 2 or 3 or something, whatever. It's it's one of those extra shows. But basically, what he does, he sits in a kitchen TV studio with his dad, who's like the funniest guy. He escaped from Cuba. And they talk about sports stuff and interview people, and it's so crazy. But here they watch a video of a horse race, and it's probably one of the best things I've ever seen in horse racing. His horse, what's the horse's name? Spicer Cub, I love
horse names.
It's crazy fast horse. And then in the middle of the horse race, the horse just sort of like goes off and like runs to the outside of the track.
And everybody starts passing him like, hey.
Then the horse comes back. Then it runs way to the outside of the track again. It's like, where's this horse trying to go? Into the crowd? Is it?
So 3 possibilities. 1, horse is bored.
Yeah.
2,
someone in the grandstand is waving carrots around.
3, the jockey be trash talking.
Yeah, who knows what's going on? But
there's something
you got to see what this horse is up to.
Have we ever done a show on trash talk?
I don't know.
Because I realized this we always talk about the difference between pre-hoc and post-hoc trash talk. The Babe Ruth point before the game is very different from, I beat you after the game. But there's also the trash talk of, look at this, I'm just throwing away victory points. What you gonna do about it? Of actually harming yourself in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
It's like in the bike race, you just stop, tie your shoe. Baseball, you walk out and you're just like, I'm just gonna bunt right here and let you get me out. All right, we got 2 outs on. All right, let's now we'll play for real.
All right, so meta moment.
The book club book is
The Player of Games by Ian M. Banks. I've started reading it again. I picked up where I left off, and I just got to the best parts. Now I'm crazy. I really want to go home and read more.
I got to start reading it again, but I've been biking to work every day, and I tend to read mostly on the subway.
I tend to read mostly while going to sleep.
So we're going to be at Anime Boston, which is May 24th, 25th, 26th. We are doing not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 lectures.
We're doing too many goddamn lectures.
Emily is doing 1 as well, and so is our friend Judith.
Yay again.
So Anime Boston's going to be rocking out, and in between these events, we're going to hang out with Mike Toole, hang out with a lot of you guys, probably spend a lot of time in the gaming area of Anime Boston.
That we hardly ever spend time in.
Probably eat a lot of secret breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Play a lot of Netrunner.
Yeah.
All right, while eating good food.
So we are also going to be at PAX Australia.
Oh, shit,
July
Down
19th,
Under.
20th, 21st. We are doing between 1 and 3 lectures. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
And the weekend directly before that,
Kineticon,
where we are 2 of the 3 people who run the panels, workshops, and special events department.
Goddamn.
We're in the middle of scheduling the entire convention, and then we're going to be there running 13 or 14 panel rooms.
If you're competent and you want to help us out, we could use some help in our panels department.
Many Enforcer friends have stepped up, and I'm in the process of getting them all situated so we can do this.
We mostly need people because there are actually 2 buildings at Kineticon, the convention center and the hotel. We mostly need people to stay in that hotel.
We need people for a much more fundamental reason than that is brought to light by the fact that PAX Australia...
Wait. So, number 1, people can stay in that hotel so we don't have to go over there ever. And 2, so we can actually take a goddamn break at some point during the convention and maybe play a game of Netrunner or something.
I am definitely not missing the days
to see
of,
a Super Art fight.
I'm at the convention center at 7 a.m. and then I walk out at midnight 30 after we locked all the doors.
That's been what it's been for 3
Back into the convention center at 7 a.m.
I'm in there before everyone else. And
Last year, I took a 45-minute break to have one cocktail with Dave Riley.
Last year, I took a break to see Super Art Fight.
I also did that.
That was all I took a break for. I didn't even play one goddamn board game.
The only reason I get that break for a cocktail is that I happened to be out of radio range and didn't realize it.
Okay.
So yeah, but the main reason we're trying to get staff who aren't us and our personal, close, like family friends is that it was pointed out that if we ever got bored and left, or say PAX Australia had been on the same weekend, basically none of us would be able to go to Kineticon, and suddenly 90% of our department is gone.
Right.
So we're trying to get people who aren't us to help out.
Right. Other meta, I just want to remind everybody that we have a lot of internet presence. Whatever your favorite internet place is, we are there. We got a website, frontrecruit.com. We got an email newsletter, which you can subscribe to at frontrecruit.com. We got Twitters. We got Facebooks. We got Google Pluses. We have a forum. We have every possible thing you can imagine. We have an IRC channel that people actually have been in consistently for a long time. It's crazy. No matter what your internet flavor is, we have that flavor. We even have a podcast and YouTube channels. Believe it or not. Holy crap. Oh, speaking of YouTube channels, I posted a bunch of videos on my personal YouTube of Netrunner games.
Oh, yeah. And on my YouTube channel, we have, it's more anime related, but we're doing a 40 or 50 episode deep analysis of an anime called Shoujo Kakame Utena. That's our kind of big project right now. So if you like that, spread the word.
All right, so let's get to the main vid.
All right, so King's Bounty. Why the fuck should I play that game? Here's what I remember. And this is going back like 8 years, 7 years maybe. You were like, you got to play this game. Because I was a Sega, because I didn't play Sega games. I was a smart kid. I had Nintendo. So King's Bounty, I turn on the emulator, and I see a screen like and there's a guy on a horse who takes up like a full 1/6 of the screen.
That's the
and it
right
looks like
game.
a map.
Yep.
I walked around, and it looked like it was fighting on similarly small, non-granular maps.
Okay, so here's what King's Bounty is. If you've ever played Heroes of Might and Magic, King's Bounty is sort of a...
Babies first?
It's a simplified version that you can play in a Sega Genesis, right? And it's the reason that this is a good game, right, is because it is, normally you would be like, oh, well, this is the GoldenEye to a Counter-Strike, right? It's not as good. It's babies first, right? But actually, Heroes of Might and Magic, in my opinion, is one of those games that has so much unnecessary complexity, like a million numbers that you mostly just ignore because no one can possibly pay attention to all those numbers. So this, by simplifying it, is actually streamlining it while still giving you all the same fun, going from town to town, having people join your army, going on quests, all that same good stuff from Heroes of Might and Magic into a simpler game that you can play in a Sega Genesis. Now, there are actually, if you go on Steam, these new King's Bounty games, which actually I kind of like and hate at the same time, right? On the one hand, they really enhance the graphics and modernness, and they're much easier to play than the old King's Bounty. I even like them better than the new Heroes of Might and Magic, which I've played. But the one problem I have with them is that you cannot speed up the combat. As a result, it just takes forever to play because a combat that could be over in like 30 seconds lasts multiple minutes simply because even if you speed up all the animations and turn them off and everything, it's just slow. It's like you click, you go, and it's like, no, you wait for these guys to move. It's like, if it moved as fast as I clicked, it's the Pokemon problem where the battle should be as fast as I can press the buttons, right? And then Pokemon would be amazing. But because you have to sit there and wait for the guy to go like, It's super effective. It adds like a whole minute or two onto each battle. It's like, kill me now.
That is why I basically never actually beat the Nobunaga's Ambition Pokemon, because it was fun, and then I just didn't want to deal with that bullshit. And I always say that Final Fantasy Tactics is baby's first tactical game. Well, Pokemon Nobunaga is baby's first tactics.
Right. So this is why I like King's Bounty. At least, and the thing is, I know the episode, I guess you tried to title it King's Games Only Scott Could Love.
That's just because that's a turn of phrase.
Sure.
Like only a mother could love.
But it's not what it means. It's not what the episode is about.
I found King's Bounty to be incredibly simplistic and boring.
Sure.
I also don't like the Might and Magic games that much.
Well, there's difference between Might and Magic and Heroes of Might and Magic. They're in the same world, universe, fantasy land, but they are completely different genres
you realize
of game.
I don't even like Fire Emblem.
Well, you got a problem there.
They all pale before Advance Wars, and I just don't enjoy.
Because they're not about the same thing that Advance
I know,
Wars
and I don't
is
like
about.
what those games are about as much.
It's Advance Wars with dating.
Not quite. Not quite. It's Advance Wars with dating and not being that hard.
Anyway, so yeah, what the episode is really about is most of the games I'm going to mention here are not necessarily games that I like that everyone else hates or thinks are bad games, even though some of them might be that way. They're mostly games that I think are A+ games or I really care about that are just possibly, even if people like them, they're mostly ignored. No one brings them up. No one talks about them. They're unmentioned. They might not be obscure games, like you've heard of them. You know they exist, maybe, depending on how cool you are. But they're games that are like high on my list. Like I think these are like some of the greats, and you don't see them talked or discussed almost ever. That's most of the games. Though some of them may also be games that I like and other people hate. Okay, so, and the degree to which people don't talk about them may vary, right? So, for example, one of the first games on my list, Descent 1, 2, 3, right? You don't see a lot of people talking about Descent too often. I think Descent, the whole series, 1, 2, 3, is some of the best there is.
I actually really enjoyed Descent games as a kid.
Yeah, see, Rym doesn't hate Descent.
No.
But how often do you hear people talk about Descent? People talk about Free Space a little more often than they talk about Descent, but I think Descent is way better than Free Space.
I'm saying, Scott, do you hate Aerobiz?
Not really, but it's not like I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to play Descent again, but...
I bought Descent on GOG.com, and I did play it recently, and it's still great.
I guess...
And I realized that back in the day, I was controlling it all wrong.
Yeah. I always wanted one of those like crazy mouse man mouses. You could like rotate the mouse in space.
So for people who don't know, the shtick with Descent is that on the one hand, it's a lot like Doom in that you're in sort of like this maze map with all sorts of secrets and lots of bad guys coming at you from every direction.
Yep.
It's very similar to Doom in that sort of it's a run and gun FPS, right? With guys everywhere and lots of items to pick up and shit like that. It's really awesome. And it also, Descent has a multiplayer aspect, especially Descent 2 and 3. Descent 3 actually had really good multiplayer. But it's full 3D, not in the way that Quake and Counter-Strike and, Tribes are full 3D.
But as in, what direction am I moving?
It's full 3D like TIE Fighter full 3D. It's an FPS where you can, pitch and yaw and shift left and right, and, you can do barrel rolls, and you can, do every possible movement that a ship can move in zero gravity. It is awesome. And there's so many items you can get. And if you haven't played Descent, you should go to GOG.com and buy that right away. You notice I'm starting here with my GOG.com list.
Yeah.
So the only other game that I have on GOG.com that I think people don't talk about enough is Shogo Mobile Armor Division.
Oh, shit. I forgot that game existed until just now.
Right. So people do bring up this game once in a while. And the only reason I know about this game is because I bought a 3-button Logitech gaming mouse when I built my first computer in 1998, 1999. And it came with this game for free on a CD-ROM. And I didn't fully appreciate this game when it came out. But first of all, this game is the predecessor to the Fear series. You'll even notice a tribute to this game is hidden in a secret room in the first Fear game. And when I played that first Fear game after buying it for cheap on Steam, I found that room not knowing it existed just because I'm that good. I found secret rooms on my own. And I went over to a radio and pushed a button, and that music from Shogo was playing. And I was like, oh, you are fucking kidding me. I discovered it legit, and I caught the reference. But Shogo Mobile Armor Division is an FPS. In some levels, you're on foot. And in some levels, you're in a giant robot. But what you don't realize right away is that both of that are sort of in the same. It's not like there's two games and you switch between them. It's literally, there are some levels where you're on foot and there are the giant robots. And some levels are in the giant robot and there are people on foot like shooting at you with little guns. Like they're in the same space. And the robots are huge, like Gundam Evangelion
that
size.
That sense of scale is something I've never seen it in another game done so well, especially for the era this game came out. I mean, this was, what, late 90s?
Yeah, and the thing
1998.
is, the game has so many anime references and it has a typical anime plot and there's like fake Evangelion
you look at this cover,
posters
you might assume that it's either some Akira-looking thing or some Ghost in the Shell-looking thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Appleseed if you're a little more hardcore.
Yeah, no, if you play this and you know anime, there is so much just in the theme of this game for you, right? There's even a little plot where people talk to you over the radio like Gundam, you know, while you're doing the mission, all these anime characters, and it's so good. I love this game. All right, let's move on. King's Bounty, sure.
Wait, didn't that game use the Lithtech engine?
I think so, yeah.
Wasn't that the engine used in that amazingly shitty Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza game? I remember Penny
I don't know.
making
Go
fun
find
of it.
out. I don't know.
I will find out.
Anyway, so another game that is a game that lots of people love all over the place, but hardly anyone talks about these days, is MechWarrior 2. Why doesn't anyone talk about MechWarrior 2?
I only played it on the SNES.
MechWarrior 2 wasn't on the SNES.
There was a MechWarrior game on the SNES. It might have just been MechWarrior.
Might have just been MechWarrior. MechWarrior 2 for the PC was Game of the Year when it came out, I think in 95, in like PC Gamer or whatever. This game was unbelievable, right? I played it. I even got the expansion, which let you play as the Snow Clan, right? And I think MechWarrior Mercenaries came out, which was...
Okay. So... I was right about the Lithtech engine. You know why I remember this Nakatomi Plaza game?
Because it's the Fruit Fucker.
That is the origin of the Fruit Fucker.
There you go.
Next, for $1 bajillion, you receive absolutely free the goddamn Lithtech engine. Use it to make your own shitty games based on ancient movie licenses like Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah.
I think this was the second Fruit Fucker comic.
Maybe. All right, anyway. But yeah, MechWarrior 2... also is a little tricky to play on modern, computers. You got to use DOSBox or whatever, and even then it was flaky the last time I tried.
Well, it was flaky on DOS.
Right. I think there was
DOS.
I think there was a Windows 95 version you could get, but that would even be flaky today. You'd have to use some sort of compatibility modes. I really wish they would fucking remake this shit, because holy crap, MechWarrior 2.
The MechWarrior in general, I'm not super happy with a lot of modern mech games because they tend to focus on the aspects I wasn't that interested in.
Well, because they can't, in the Xbox, it sort of went over to Mech Assault and it became more about the FPS part and less it was less and less like Battletech. MechWarrior 2 has actually a lot in common with the on-tabletop war
exactly.
game.
That's why I liked it. It was more about what weapons do you have and how many of them if you
Whereas
fired.
a lot of the other games like Mech Assault, went closer to being more like Tribes, but you're in a robot.
Yeah, except Mech Assault became one of those walk backwards shooting people from a distance.
Yeah, and now I guess they have, what's the one with the crazy controller that they always play at PAX?
Oh, I don't remember the name of it.
Steel Battalion?
Yes.
The Steel Battalion, and there's what's the indie one, Warhawk? Is that it? No.
Well, there's Hawken,
that's the one.
which has a lot of grindy elements that immediately take me out of the game.
Exactly.
Even though it's super fun, but it's still too FPS-y.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about some games that I know Rym actually doesn't like. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Let's talk about Yoshi's Cookie.
Fuck that game.
I love Yoshi's Cookie.
Yoshi's Cookie.
Yoshi's Cookie is awesome. Yoshi's Cookie is, if you're going to rank all-time puzzle games, right, the top tier of puzzle games is Tetris, of course, is number one.
Battle Balls,
Magical Drop, and Panel de Pon, which is also known as Pokemon Puzzle League, also known as, whatever, right? Directly under that level
is not Yoshi's Cookie.
I guess you could also maybe put Bust a Move / whatever you want to call it in that top level-ish. The second level, Yoshi's Cookie. Right there, right under that level is Yoshi's Cookie.
For some reason, now I respect
and
that this
also on that level, regular Yoshi.
Scott, you forgot Dr.
People
Mario.
don't know there was a game called
Dr. Mario.
Dr. Mario's on the top level.
So here's what I think is going on with this game, because our friends were into Battle Balls, and that was their thing. Like, we have a few friends who are transcendent gods at Battle Balls.
Mm-hmm.
They make us look like little babies. That was just their game. If they had not pulled us into that game, we would never have played it. I probably wouldn't have even liked it. Yoshi's Cookie is just your Gemfire or your Battle Balls, but you don't have a bunch of other people who will play it with you.
It's because you were afraid to play it with me. I'll just kill you.
I played it with you. I just didn't. It didn't have a good brain feel. The kind of puzzle that it is does not give my brain good feelings.
Well, I like Yoshi's Cookie. Basically, the way it works is you have cookies in a grid, a square rectangular grid, and you can move any row or column of cookies left or right or up or down if it's a column, right? And when you move, the cookies sort of go to the other side like Pac-Man. So if you move a column to the right, every cookie goes to the right one space, and the rightmost cookie teleports to the left side. You have to line up a complete row or column of identical cookies, and there's different cookie shapes, right? There's like the checkerboard cookie, the flower cookie, the donut cookie, right? So on and so forth. And when you line up a row of cookies that are all the same shape, they clear away like Tetris, and the cookies collapse. And you got to clear the cookies away completely to go to the next level, which is much harder.
Why is Yoshi eating these cookies? When did he ever have... He has no history of cookies.
Mario is baking the cookies. Yoshi's hungry. He eats with
But
his
Yoshi
tongue.
usually eats those berries.
Anyway,
they're like
in
puffins.
the multiplayer version, the way it works is both players have a complete grid of cookies that is the same size, that constantly is full of cookies no matter what. But when you clear a line, right, you're basically, working your way towards the limit of whoever clears the most lines wins, sort of like Magical Drop, right? If you reach the number first, you win. But you can get a row of Yoshi head cookies. If you get a row of Yoshi head cookies in the single player, Yoshi head cookies are wild. In the multiplayer, the Yoshi head cookies, you want to make a line of them. And if you do that, you'll activate the superpower. And the superpowers are basically constantly rotating on top of your screen. So each player has this sort of little, spot on their side of the board that tells you what power will activate if you were to line up 5 Yoshi cookies right now. So that thing is changing all the time. So what you have to do is if you get 5 Yoshi cookies, you got to line them up, and you have to wait for that power to be exactly a good power that's going to hurt your opponent, and then hit the Yoshi cookies quickly before it changes. And some of those things will help you, and some of those things will hurt you, and some of those things will hurt your opponent, and some of those things will help your opponent. So you have to be really careful not to help your opponent or hurt yourself when you trigger the Yoshi cookies. And that's a pretty interesting kind of mechanic that no other puzzle game really has, of the timing being necessary. You can't sort of just...
the Tetris on the DS had the separate... It wasn't the power is different. It was that
choosing the
opponent.
Different. Yes,
yeah.
That's correct. But there's only one opponent in Yoshi's Cookie. But it has that timing element of, it's not just... If you can't just clear really, really fast to win, that's actually a valid strategy. But if the other person waits 10 seconds, they'll be able to really crush you. And some of the abilities you can activate are minus the other dude's score or plus your score a whole bunch. And it's well, fuck. Right?
I guess I for some reason, the kind of puzzle this is just never jived with me, and I just didn't enjoy it.
All right.
And also, I just point out Nintendo Power, the Game Boy version got a 3.4 out of 5 in the surveys.
Mm-hmm.
And the SNES version got a 3.325 out of 5.
I played the NES version.
I don't think there was an NES version, Scott.
Yeah,
there was.
I
Yeah,
owned
there
it.
was.
I owned it. Don't tell me it didn't exist.
I see it here.
What the fuck is wrong with you? All right, so another game people don't talk about at all that was on the NES that I loved, Kung Fu Heroes. Do you even know that game, Rym?
I think so. Is that the game where you're 2 kung fu dudes in this side view walking around on a grid, punching and kicking the shit out of people?
Yeah, it's
yes,
sort of a top...
I know this game. This game is awesome.
Yeah, so the thing with this game is it's pretty much every screen is just a square, and you can't really scroll at all. You're on this one square, and you have to beat all the guys in order to open up the door to go to the next screen. But there's so many secrets and crazy shit, and you can do these jump spinning kicks, you can get all these abilities and weapons, and it's one of those games, everything just feels so weird and sort of, it's the craziest shit happens, you'll punch a block and a letter P will come out. And you'll punch it, and a door will open, like a staircase. And you go in the staircase, and it takes you to another world where you play a bonus game where there's bullets flying. And it's just totally this wacky, very Japanese kind of game, that doesn't really, I was amazed it came over to the U.S. at all. It had really good music. It was co-op, really fun to play with a friend, really fun to discover all the secrets and warps. The bosses were really crazy, these big red monsters that look like the guy from... the Bugs Bunny cartoons, the big red guy, right?
Now, I can't remember the title of it. There was a similar game that was more like an RPG.
I actually discovered this today during my research.
What was it called? Because I
There
can't
is a
remember.
game for the Nintendo Entertainment System that was, in fact, a sequel to this that I did not know existed.
Because that's the game I knew.
That had RPG elements called Little Ninja Brothers.
That's it. Because I remember...
I did not know Little Ninja Brothers
as a kid,
existed
we were
before
obsessed
today.
with getting the sword, because if you got the sword, it was basically the baddest ass thing to have.
Yep.
But you didn't get XP for anyone you killed with it.
There was also a Super Nintendo game called Super Ninja Boy, which was the third game in the series that I never knew existed before today. So the first game in the series, though, Kung Fu Heroes, definitely has really good styling. I really love that game.
My little brother and I played the shit out of Little Ninja Brothers.
Yeah, this is one of those games where it's like, you know, and there'll be some other games like it I talk about, where it's like we bought it when we had an NES, we didn't know we were getting into, and we lucked out with something good. Not like the time about Wayne Gretzky hockey, and it was shit, even worse than ice hockey. Wayne Gretzky hockey for the N64 is great, and talking about NES Wayne Gretzky hockey, it's awful. All right, so Rym loves Dig Dug, right?
I like Dig Dug.
You like Dig Dug 2?
It's okay.
Yeah, I like Dig Dug 2 a lot. I had Dig Dug 2. I played more Dig Dug 2 than Dig Dug 1. So the way Dig Dug 2 works is Dig Dug is on an island walking around on the surface, right? And so are the Pukas and the Figars. And they are up to their usual shenanigans. But Dig Dug on the surface, he can dig, but he can only dig in a straight line, basically making sort of faults like the San Andreas fault. And he can only start digging a San Andreas fault at a spot where there is a stick in the ground. Sometimes there's already faults already in this island. And what happens is, let's say he completely cuts off a piece of the island. Well, obviously, that no matter what, that means you have divided the island into two pieces. Not into two equal pieces, but two pieces. And when Dig Dug divides the island into two pieces with a fault line, one part of the island sinks into the ocean, and all the Pukas and Figars on that part of the island will die. But it's the smaller piece that falls into the ocean. And a lot of times Dig Dug will fuck himself by falling into the ocean. And the Pukas and the Figars will laugh at him from the still floating island piece.
I remember they'll like throw themselves into the sea and commit suicide if you don't kill them all in time.
Yeah, that is true. You can also use the classic pumping gun to kill them because it's Dig Dug.
Thing is, the game was okay. It just wasn't as good as Dig Dug.
You keep playing this game, though, and it gets really hard and really tricky.
So does Dig Dug.
Way tricky. You know, Dig Dug just really gets faster, and it doesn't. This really has a lot of variety in the island layouts as they get bigger and bigger with more.
There's only
Pukas
31.
Really?
After level 31, the levels have the same layout as the 116 levels before it.
But that means I almost beat this as a kid. I was only able to get to level like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah,
I didn't realize I was that close to winning.
There's only 31 unique levels.
I didn't realize I was that close to winning.
Well, you don't win. It just keeps going.
Give a shit. Anyway. All right. Other NES games that I bought not really knowing what to expect that turned out to be amazing. Alfred Chicken.
I never liked Alfred Chicken.
Why don't you like Alfred Chicken?
I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Alfred Chicken was like the original. I don't know if it was the original puzzle platformer, but it was way more puzzle platformy than any other game I had played up to that point. Right? You needed some platforming skills to jump and dive and avoid getting killed. But really, a lot of the puzzle platform games that exist today owe a lot to Alfred Chicken. It's like you had to look at where you were and figure out, like, how the hell can I get through here? Right? And it wasn't just, run and jump with good timing.
I will say I think it was a better game than like the old Duke Nukems.
Yeah, the other thing with Alfred Chicken is that, I don't know, there was a Game Boy version, but the NES...
Game Boy, SNES, Super Game Boy, Amiga.
Whoa, okay.
Amiga CD32.
Whoa, okay.
NES.
But anyway, the NES and SNES versions, which came out at the same time, usually back in the day, if that happened...
Whoa. Apparently the NES version was just a gimped version of the Game Boy one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm reading Wikipedia, so YMMV.
But what I'm telling you is that the NES and SNES versions were basically completely different games. It wasn't like the same game and just like reduced graphics, reduced sound, which you saw a lot of the time. For example, with Yoshi's Cookie, right? The NES and SNES versions of Yoshi's Cookie were almost the same game, just one was looking like an NES game and one was looking like an SNES game. The NES and SNES Alfred Chickens are actually two different games. You might as well call them Alfred Chicken 1 and Alfred Chicken 2. If you like one, you should play both.
Well, according to Wikipedia, the NES version is essentially a watered-down port of the Game Boy version. It features only 5 levels.
Really? So the Game Boy version has more than 5 levels?
Yes.
But it's the same 5 levels as the NES one?
Yep. So
Wow.
the NES one is the worst version ever made.
But at least the NES one though has color and such that the Game Boy one doesn't. The NES
Well,
one
there
is
was
the
a
one
Super Game Boy one too.
Oh, okay.
There's not a lot of info on this Wikipedia page.
I kind of want to play that Game Boy one now.
It was designed by Jason McGann.
Okay, what's he up to?
He is not a notable person,
Okay.
so I can't click on his name.
But yeah, Alfred Chicken, a game that no one really remembers that actually has a lot going on. I mean, this game was good enough to basically be published at that time in the 16-bit era, right? And all three of those systems coming out of basically nowhere, right?
Which is a feat. It's a feat that it was published legit. It wasn't like one of those crazy Bible games.
Yeah, the publishers like played this game and said, "Wow, this is really fun."
Sunsoft picked it up.
Yeah, someone with money believed this could be like a new franchise. They marketed it like quite heavily. It's the only reason I even heard of it, right? It was in all the video game magazines with ads, even though the game magazines themselves mostly ignored it in their reviews. They took ad
I'll
space.
bet what it was. I remember Sunsoft being very good at picking the right games to port and good games to make. And Sunsoft probably was like, hey, this game on the Amiga or whatever is great. Let's get it on the Nintendos.
All right, so let's sort of hurry up with the rest of these here, right?
You got a lot.
Yeah, I got a lot of them. So my friend had, you'd go to a friend's house, they had a bunch of NES games, and they always have weird ones that you didn't have.
Yep, that's how I learned about Dr. Chaos.
I was about to talk about Dr. Chaos.
What, really?
Yes.
Ha!
My friends, they had this game called Dr. Chaos. We played it, and I was like, whoa, what the hell is
as my little brother and I said
Dr.
when we were
Chows?
Dr. Chows.
This is a great game. It's really unique. You're basically your crazy old uncle, Dr. Chaos. He needs you to watch his mansion. You get there, he's not there. It's filled with monsters. And it has two games. This is a game where you walk around the mansion sort of doing a deja vu, trying to find stuff. And at the same time, you're trying to find these secret portals in the mansion that take you to these side-scrolling levels where you have to fight the evil monsters. And when you beat all the side-scrolling levels and get all the pieces to these machines and things, then I guess you win. I've never gotten very far at all. It's really hard to find the side-scrolling levels.
Yep.
But even the mansion part and the exploring and like punching the walls to find secrets is really fun.
As opposed to Milon Secret Castle,
Yeah,
which
you
was
should
the opposite
try.
of fun.
You don't have to beat Dr. Chaos. Just like load it up in your NES emulator and poke around, and you'll see like this is a game that there is no other game like that.
In fact, I remember, because I didn't play it until I was at my friend's house, but I'd always go to the video rental store, and I'd see Dr. Chaos right next to that Desert Combat NES game that was basically Advance Wars.
Yeah.
And I remember standing looking at Dr. Chaos because there's this skull and this demon and all this blood. I'm like, that looks fun.
Yeah.
But then the Advance Wars one, I was like, ooh, military simulation.
So, Metal Marines. I think we've talked about Metal Marines.
We
bunch.
talked about Metal Marines at PAX.
Yeah. So I don't want to say too much about it, other than I just want to bring
Except,
it up
you know
again.
what I'm going to say? Every level past the second one in Metal Marines sucks ass.
Okay, but the concept of Metal Marines is the best.
Metal Marines is a great game. They just didn't execute on it beyond the concept.
And there's the Windows 3.1 version. But yeah, Metal Marines, don't forget Metal Marines.
I have that laying around somewhere.
Okay, now let's get real. The best game, I think this is probably, I might even say it might even be the best side-scrolling platformer there is. Oh, Super Mario World.
Legacy of the Wizard?
No.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit under Super Mario World. But Wario 2. Wario 2 is one of the best games. People don't know this, right? But on the Game Boy, there was Super Mario Land. Then there was Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, the boss of which was Wario. First appearance of Wario.
It's me, Wario.
Then there was a game on the Game Boy called Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. And you played as Wario. Then there was a game, Wario Land 2, where you played as Wario. And basically, the Super Mario Land series, once that boss of that second, Mario game was Wario, turned into Wario Land. And Wario Land 2 is the best, because what it does is it sort of has this revolutionary thing of Wario is invincible. He wasn't invincible in Wario 1. That only defined his greed for coins. Wario Land 2, he's invincible. So it's all about trying to get through the level with finding all the secrets, beating a boss, but you can't die. All that can really happen to you is you can get your ass kicked back and have to run through a spot again because you failed. It's like if you fall in a pit, you don't die.
Yep.
You just have to go back. And a lot of times going back doesn't keep you from beating the level. Like
it's just annoying.
It's like if you want to beat the level, it's really easy. But if you want to get all the treasures and unlock all the goodies, you have to be able to, you'll see these incredibly difficult, secret-y filled parts of levels, right?
There are lots of weird things to find and unlock in this game.
And also, when you've beat the game, it starts over, and it has a sort of a Wario Land Plus mode where you suddenly see this, the path you took to beat the game, and you see all these other levels you didn't go because you didn't find secret exits in previous levels.
Yup, and there's 5 different endings.
There's a ton of endings and different paths to take to ends and different, all right? So this game has tons of playable value, and it's not only can you beat all the levels, like can you get the treasure in every level, right? You see a lot of things today, like in Super Mario Brothers Wii or whatever. It's like, or
well, there's
Super
that
Mario
Wario
Land,
remake.
the 3D one, the 3DS one, or the DS one, the Mario one, New Super Mario Brothers for the DS. And it's like, get the big gold coin in every level. Wario Land is where that shit came from, right? This is where that shit came from. Can you get the treasure in every level? Which involves not only finding the treasure chest, but beating the treasure chest in its little treasure chest game. Okay, also, let's just do this quickly. Mario Kart Super Circuit, the Game Boy Advance Mario Kart. I bring this up all the time. It is the least remembered, least cared about Mario Kart. It's also the best Mario Kart because
if you want a game that is primarily skill.
There is still randomness of getting items, but in Super Mario Kart Super Circuit for the GBA, if you race perfectly, you drift every corner, you go at max speed, you never hit a bump, you never go off the road, you never do anything wrong, you drive perfectly, even the blue shell will hover behind your ass without hitting you. As soon as you fuck up a little bit, boom, it goes faster than you and hits you. But if you drive perfectly in this Mario Kart, even the blue shell or the red shell will just stay behind you waiting for you to fuck up. And if you go long enough without fucking up, the shell will give up and fall off the screen. And then you can get red shells and shoot them backwards at your opponents, and they're fucked. So first place means first place. It's mostly a racing game as opposed to the other ones. And it has almost all the tracks from the original Mario Kart, as well as lots of additional tracks only in this one.
It just had good multiplayer. I mean, it was one of the first games to really use those GBA link cables well.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the first game. It came out
I remember
close.
hanging out at Luke's fucking apartment with a bunch of GBAs playing this.
It came out very close to the release of the Game Boy Advance and the link cable, and was like was the first game to use the 4-way link cable. So yeah, really good. Okay. Conquest of the Crystal Palace is an old NES game where you basically climb up a mountain fighting bad guys, and it's kind of hard. It sort of has some RPG elements to it. At the beginning, you can choose one of 3 orbs to get magical powers, and it's sort of got this weird thing combining, like, it's very Japanese. It combines like historical things because it seems like, you're in ancient times fighting ancient monsters. And then like some girl gives a news report and sells you items and shit.
Yep.
Right? That's all modern. It's pretty hard, but not Silver Surfer hard. It's like on that borderline.
I rented it and never really got very far.
I borrowed it from someone and played it a whole bunch. The thing that makes this game really great are the bosses, which are like these gigantic NES bosses that you have to fight. Really cool. And lots of fun items to get. Legacy of the Wizard, Rym already mentioned. You get your whole family to go dungeon crawling to find the secret. It really, the thing that's great about Legacy of the Wizard is just how you have this really big dungeon, and it really feels like sort of epic and mysterious, and what kind of crazy shit is going on and down there, and you get lots of creepy feels going down in that big ass dungeon. It's also just a really
complex game for its time.
Yeah, it's not actually that complex if you read a fact about it.
Yeah, but as a kid, this game, you've got all these different characters with all these different powers.
Play this game without
crap.
reading any facts. Read the instruction manual for this game, and then play
6 or 7 different characters, each with completely unique powers.
I think there's actually only 5 characters you can play as. I think Grandma and Grandpa are just like the shop and the save game.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, one of them is the shop or the inventory, and one of them is the password. But you can play as the dad, the mom, the sister, the brother, or the pet. And the pet is the most interesting because he's invincible. Monsters, well, he's not invincible, but monsters don't hurt him. So you take the pet and you explore the dungeon and make a map. Then you figure out, okay, I can only go in there if I have the dad who can break rocks, and I can only go in there with the daughter who can jump high, and I can only go there with the girl who, I think the mom has the magic, and and then you need the main, the son who can use the magic sword to beat the big dragon once you get the big sword, right? And you have to figure all this out. It's pretty great.
I would say it has a lot of the elements of an early, almost Metroidvania.
Yeah, it definitely has.
Before that was a thing.
Well, I mean, Metroid existed.
Yeah, but this has the leveling up, getting items more.
There's not a lot of leveling up, but there is getting items.
This is between Castlevania, Metroidvania. Like it's edging in that direction.
Yeah, it's more like
like
roguelike in a little bit in there too, right? Just because
it's not procedural.
Right,
you know what I would say? It's a game, if nothing else, play it and then look at what year it was made, it was just really ahead of its time for what it was.
Yep. Also, Faxanadu.
I hated that game.
You hated Faxanadu? I love Faxanadu.
I just didn't enjoy it.
It's Faxanadu, or however you want to pronounce it, right? And it's basically you're this one dude going on this sort of quest fighting the evil trolls.
I held it and Astyanax like together in my head.
Astyanax is not as good as Faxanadu.
But I never liked Faxanadu. I also never liked the there was the game that looked like Zelda 2, but you were Greek. Battle of Olympus.
Oh, that okay.
I hated that game too.
Well, how about Time Lord?
Time Lord.
Or Time Lords? Yeah, Time Lord video game for the NES. Time Lord for NES.
Oh, I rented this game once or twice.
Yeah, how about that?
Never particularly liked it.
All right, anyway, the last game on my list here that I really want to, put some time to talk about is Dynamite Headdy. Nobody who knows Dynamite Headdy, all right?
That's the game with the evil cat bear thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Trouble Brewing. Oh shit. This game.
Get it? Brewing like a bear.
Right. So, Trouble Brewing. This game, it's a game made by Treasure, but people mostly remember Treasure for like Gunstar Heroes and stuff like that. People don't think about Dynamite Headdy when they think about Treasure and the games they've made. But Dynamite Headdy is really crazy good. You're this guy with a head, and sort of like Kirby, he shoots his head at things, right? And he can use this head to just shoot it at bad guys. He can shoot it at things to grab onto them by biting and then sort of jump up, sort of like a grappling hook almost mechanic. He can jump, but he can't jump on bad guys to kill them. But he can also shoot to change his head into different things like Kirby. So like a hammer, which just can smash certain things, or you can get the micro head, or, all these heads give him different powers. And so you're navigating these levels, trying to, get into different places, different paths through the levels. And the thing is, each level, even though it's a platforming game, the levels are so crazy different that like each one is almost a different game into itself. There's even like shmup levels where he's got the airplane head. There's, sort of like his levels like the floor tilts back and forth, so it ends up being almost like a platforming beat 'em up in a ways, because you can only move in a small area while going sideways.
The game just had a really nice sense of weird, like it was so varied and weird, and every level was just so different.
And the styling and the music is just so incredible, and the whole, the story. Like there's this huge, crazy cinematic opening where you fight a robot who's ransacking the town, and there's mini game levels. And it's, every boss is crazy unique. Usually the bosses come down to hit the weak spot. But like, for example, one level boss, you're fighting Trouble Brewing, and he's basically has his head. The first time you fight him, which is pretty much the beginning of the game, he's just there standing with his full body. And you kill him and his head flies off. And every other time you see him, his head is attached to something else.
Yep.
So you see him later, and his head is attached to this ball, which is a crazy robot arm, which has a hand at the end. The hand grabs you, and basically he drags you behind stage. And this is the crazy thing about this game is it's sort of like, how Portal has it sort of you go behind the wall thing? This game has that same thing where it's like the whole game is like on a puppet show stage, and you're a puppet and everyone's a puppet, and things go, you can see like behind the stage all the time. And like if you die, I think the game over screen is like you like getting kicked out of the theater, like through the back, like the stage exit door or something.
I never beat the game.
I've never beaten it, but I've gotten very, very far into it. I can still get very far into it. I've used a cheat code to get to the ending boss, which is really hard. I can't even beat it. But yeah, Dynamite Headdy, no one talks about this game, but it is, I think, incredible. Like it's as good as, say, Kirby's Adventure in my book. Especially aesthetically, right? I mean, the platformy parts are still really good, even though they're not the best, but the aesthetic aspects of this game are like way above even something like Super Mario World, right? It's pretty incredible. So there you go. There are games that I like that no one talks about or cares about or whatever.
All right. This has been Geeknights with Rym and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
And I would argue that is because PCs are pretty useless without being connected to the internet.
Remember, for how many years we had PCs that didn't have any internet, and we used them all day. We found
yeah,
because
you know what I did on those? I wrote documents for school in Microsoft Works.
Yep.
And I played Jezball.
And wasn't it the greatest?
It was okay. But actually, no, even in those days, I had null modems and I was playing games and fucking around with terminals.
Right. So if you have a computer in your house that always has internet, right? So much, right? Then why wouldn't you have a console in your house that always has internet? What's the difference?
Well, I think the difference is that, one, consoles still, to me, are the kind of thing that they're supposed to be literally the physical box is here. I turn it on, games happen. So if it has to be always on for stuff to work, even single-player games, suddenly taking your console to your beach house doesn't work out so well.
Yeah.
Leaving the console at grandma's house doesn't work out so well.
Yeah, really what this is about is, you know, people seem to be making this thing like, oh my God, no one will be able to play games. It's always online. And yeah, internet's unreliable in a lot of places, but actually in most places it works. The real worries here are, number one, I looked up some statistics, and basically 70 to 80% of Xboxes are online. So they're throwing away 25% of customers. So really, 1 out of every 4 people who has an Xbox now will not be able to use the new Xbox because they don't have it on the internet. Because maybe they don't have good internet, or they don't know how to
They don't know how to plug in more than one device.
They
it's a
don't
very
care.
common problem.
Yeah. I saw screenshots from a guy who still had the original Xbox 360. It didn't red ring, and it had the original software.
Nice.
With the blades that go right.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
But it's like they're trying to take some of the worst or at least useless aspects of PC gaming and poured it into a console, but for no good reason. The reason they want to sell more ads. Yeah. Right? They want to but no,
force
forget
things
the real
on you.
reasons, because we know the real reasons. The reasons they give are such hollow
bullshit reasons.
They
don't have a real
like,
reason.
We want a solid, interconnected experience. We want the social aspects to
matter.
Right,
because they don't have, the only reasons they have are the bullshit reasons that are evil. They don't have one single good reason that is good for the customer.
Yeah,
not one.
I first selfish hope that as a result, a lot of people don't go to the beach. So when I do bike to the beach, I have a private beach.
Yeah, but it's hard to bike to the beach when part of the boardwalk is closed. We'll have to bike on the non-boardwalk.
I kind of know my way around the island at this point because I bike over there
a lot.
I
know, yeah, but it's like you can't bike on the sand, right? So
yeah,
if you want to bike straight from one end to the other.
There's a road that goes mostly parallel to the boardwalk.
Yeah, you have to use that road, is what I'm saying, as opposed to using the boardwalk, which is much nicer and closer to the water.
Under the boardwalk.
And with a better view and such, you know.
Under the boardwalk.
Okay.
All right, so in the news, it's been a while since we've really talked about current events and everything. And
there's not a lot of them.
There's stuff coming. I mean, Monaco's getting its real release and all that. But an issue that has come up from multiple different places, so I kind of want to talk about the issue as opposed to all the specific people except Adam Orth, because I got to talk about him.
Yeah, see, I don't want to talk about.
But the general sentiment is that multiple people, like the head of Ubisoft also said something very similar. People are ready for and or okay with always on DRM being part of their console gaming experience, not just their PC gaming experience.
Well, you know why they think this way?
Well, one,
because despite the fact that online gamers on Reddit and other places yell and scream saying, "Oh, online DRM, blah blah blah,"
they buy the game anyway.
SimCity, as much as Catastrophe is yelling, and
I didn't buy it. I'm boycotting it.
I haven't bought an EA game in forever.
I'm actually, as much of a gamer as I am, I'm ideologically opposed to buying EA games, specifically SimCity.
I wouldn't buy them just because I don't want to play any of their games, regardless of the online.
I would want to play SimCity, but I refuse. On principle,
my interest
disagree.
in playing it is mild, but very mild. So whatever.
My interest came back because I have a copy of SimCity 4?
You can buy SimCity 2000 on GOG.com.
SimCity 2000 I'm done with.
You suck.
I've played that game out.
Okay.
I've taken a city legit from nothing to all perfect arcologies in a flat grid.
Yeah.
So I have no interest in playing that game.
Anyway, the point is that...
Oh, and 2 fusion plants. Maybe 3 in case there's a disaster.
You put them in separate places just
Yeah.
in case. The point is that despite this, SimCity still sold like a jillion copies, and they still made $1 jillion off of
but
it.
why is that?
Just go onto the hard drive, find the file that says how many donuts you have, and change the number.
Their end game is to make you pay money to have that cheat menu.
Yep.
Their end game is to turn Borderlands into, well, it basically already is, an MMO. They don't let you just pick your level because they need you to go through the grind bullshit for all the social aspects they have, and the DLC. They've got all these. It's all centered around monetizing more while making less.
All right, anyway.
So Adam Orth,
This Microsoft guy, basically, from what I can tell, right, is that I don't know if he truly believes what he was saying or not. It seemed like he was sort of having a trollish, sort of jerky argument battle with his friend. Right? Like, if you look at the actual tweets, it's sort of like two guys ragging at each other, like, deal with it, man. That sort of thing. Like, how serious was he? Not, maybe he did believe it. But, the way he was expressing himself was way jerky because I think he saw it as a one-on-one sort of friend troll battle, right? But in reality, he ended up being a jerk to everyone who doesn't have internets. And so then he lost his job, either by quitting or resigning or who knows, but he doesn't work there anymore.
Yep. But his sentiment was basically everything I rail against.
Yes.
So not super sympathetic toward him because this whole DLC thing and microtransactions are really starting to encroach into areas they shouldn't be in gaming.
Well, that's how it is.
Now, what's funny is PCs, which my PC is always online no matter what. In fact, even if I lose power, I'll probably still have internet on my PC. Between UPSs and FiOS and all that stuff.
Yep.
But even then, I can mod my games and fuck around with my games, and PCs are the place where you have the freedom to fuck around. The console is the place where you just plug it in and it just works. People who complain about PC gaming complain that it doesn't just work. If your console doesn't just work, suddenly those people are going to be really mad.
Yeah, people talk about, like, this sort of thing where PC gamers think they're so much better than console gamers.
We are, but that's a separate discussion.
And no, I'm going to say, look, and they sort of try to portray the PC gamer as like an elitist jerk, right? And console gamers, right? They try to say, we're not, dumb or stupid or bad because we play,
The game Mark of the Ninja, I've been playing it on my Steam console because why would I buy it on the Xbox? But
Right.
say it was on my Xbox. There is literally no reason it would ever need to connect to the internet because it's a single-player game I'm playing through by myself.
There might be
single-player.
benefits to connecting it to the internet, like sharing scores with your friends.
There might be. But one, those shouldn't prevent me from just playing the fucking game.
Exactly.
I don't even have another one. That's it. That's the highest order concern. That they're doing it for these selfish, semi-secret, but obvious reasons like trying to do DRM, trying to force social aspects that are used to guilt people into DLC, or even having DLC available.
And tracking people's playing so that they can get data about you and what you play and how many hours you play.
Think about how subtle this is. The social crap of Scott got this achievement will remind people to play games. They're trying to have this ability to have their hand in your console, right in the cookie jar, pushing your buttons and getting you to go in the direction they want you to go. And I think
it works,
buying
and
DLC,
it works statistically. It works on most people, so they think they're going to make more money. They think they're going to make more money if they throw away 1 in 4 customers completely.
Will. You know why?
And milk the customers, the other 75%, for more dollars each.
In the midterm, they probably will, because the people they're throwing away are the people who've never heard of DLC.
They'll also probably get those, even with the customer service expense, right? Get some of that 25% to plug their computer into the internet.
Yep. And they're also going to be able to really push this stuff. I mean, look at this recent push toward making it impossible. One thing online DRM is used for is to prevent people from modding their own game or cheating in the single-player game that they have because they want to push these microtransactions or upgrades or DLC or comparative scores online. And as a result, they need to prevent you from cheating. But if I want to cheat on a game that I own, that I'm playing by myself, I should be able to cheat.
Yeah, if a game is offline completely, I can get a tool easily to modify the data in
Dude,
the
Civ 2,
on the
you
hard
went to
drive.
options and turned cheating to on if you wanted to cheat.
Yep.
It's like, you know what? I'm done with this. Let's spawn 1,000 nukes and make China not exist
Yeah, there's
anymore.
no way to make me, pay money for donuts in, Simpsons
But
tapping
that's what they
game
want to do. They want...
if I can.
It's Tuesday, April 16th, 2013. I'm Rym.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we're talking about games that only Scott could love.
No, I do. Not could.
Let's do this. Sort of a callback to back when we did a similar show about Aerobiz.
Well,
Gemfire.
I was searching for, have we done a show on this? And I saw an episode from 2008 called, Games Only Rym Likes. So I was like, hey, can we do Games Only Scott Likes? Well,
I was like, what, like King's Bounty?
I could hardly think of any games that only Scott likes, but then I thought of a whole bunch.
One of them's got to be King's Bounty, because you tried to get me to play that 4 times.
I don't know why I don't like King's Bounty.
I didn't get it, and it wasn't fun, and my character on the horse was way too big.
Anyway.
That bothered me. It's good to be back on our normal schedule. I've been biking to work now that it's nice out and I don't have the flu.
Still too cold.
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you.
If you check the weather, it's alternating between sunny and beautiful but cold and warm and awesome but rainy. There has not been a sunny
Scott, it is
and warm.
60 degrees out right now.
No, it's not.
Yes.
And what temperature
Fine.
was it when I woke up this morning?
I don't know when you wake up.
Yeah, 40 something.
No, because I biked to work this morning. It was not 40.
It was 40, 8, 9.
I biked to work at exactly 8:30 because I was running about a half hour late.
It was cold.
And right now, which is a while after I got home,
It's
it's
59.
59 degrees,
That's
which
cold.
is pleasant.
Cold.
For biking, in fact, that's a little warm.
No, call me when it's 68, 69 at least.
I don't know. We'll have to do our race.
When you're biking, there is a fan blowing on your entire
Yeah, and you know
body.
what? When I'm biking, it is so hot that even on a day like today, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, trying to pull my shirt off because I'm so hot.
That does not happen to me.
I don't think you bike as hard as I do. We should do our race to Rockaway once it's warm.
Yeah, I was looking up. Apparently, the beach is going to open regularly, but some sections of the boardwalk will be closed because broken.
I kind of have this perverse